On the line with me right now, I have Michele Traina. She'll be headlining a show at the Funny Bone this Thursday, October 18th, called Divorce Diaries. You can get your tickets at funnybone.com. The show will start at 7 o'clock. Michele, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, John? How's it going?
Doing well. Actually, it's beautiful outside. Just enjoy the nice weather today. How was your day?
It was great. Busy, but great, as always. I teach full-time as well as perform, so just crazy busy.
So you teach full-time and you perform full-time as well, and you're a full-time mother. It's kind of a big juggling act you got going on right now. Tell us a little bit about your show and how you came up with it and how long you've been doing it and kind of where you're going with it.
All right, so I've been doing for about 2 years. It started off as a one-woman show in New York.
Okay.
And it turned into a comedy show when I started doing stand-up. And I said, I don't rather not, be sad about divorce, or rather than just laugh about, the stuff that has to do with divorce. So I turned it into a comedy show. And instead of me doing the characters about my story, I changed into what my material was based around my divorce.
Now, have you done something like this before? Is this your first time getting up on a stage in front of people and kind of performing an act?
Yeah, so I have I've done one-woman shows in New York City at Theater Row Studios off Broadway about being a teacher, called How to Be a Successful Teacher. And I've done them before in other settings, so I figured let me do this as a one-woman show and play the characters of my life, basically. But when I started doing stand-up, I was like, you know what, this just makes sense to do, comedy that heals, and it was getting a better reception, and I really didn't know what the vision of my show was until I started doing stand-up, and I felt like this is a perfect fit.
So you've been doing the show itself for about a year now. Now, where have you been? Where has the show taken you besides the Capital Region in New York City?
It's taken me to New York, New City, Caroline's on Broadway, and it's taken me to Los Angeles. I did it in Glendale, and one of my friends, he does a comedy show out there. I also do it monthly in New Jersey, in Montclair, New Jersey. And recently, we just got a monthly spot at Broadway Comedy Club in New York City.
Nice. Now, the act itself, what do you kind of go over? What do you talk about? How does it come about?
Yep. Yeah. So I just basically do my story, which is I'm a single mom. I got divorced. I had to move back home with my Italian parents and my Italian grandmother. And I have a handicapped dog. It's just kind of a funny, just even hearing that, everyone's like, what? And, I feel like I've always been an overachiever my whole life, but I end up in these underachiever situations. So I have to poke humor at it, because I think if you take yourself too seriously, when someone takes themselves too seriously, that's when it kind of becomes funny. So I do all those things where I feel like I'm not, meeting up to the expectations, like being a single mom versus the perfect married mom who does everything organic and gluten-free, and her kids have perfectly, brushed hair, whereas my daughter wants to be wild and mismatched and not brush her hair, and it's okay. But I kind of poke fun at that.
Now,
there's just too many things that I experience with divorced women and single parents, and then the dating aspect of post-divorce dating. And it's something I guess it's different than when I was in my early 20s dating out of college or in college. I feel like more dysfunctional, and I never would have thought that.
I'm sure you've got a lot of material. Now, in terms of your show, the material itself, what would you rate your show? Would you say it's a PG-13, it's an R-rated show? What's your market audience for the show?
I would say it can be PG-13, but I would be on the same. It depends. I would market it probably as R.
Okay.
Because I invite other comics on the show, and I never usually pre-screen them to see how clean or dirty are you. I like to leave it up to the comic. But if I was doing a Divorce Diaries show and the person who booked the show said you have to keep it family-friendly, it can be changed into PG-13. That's the beauty of the comedy of comics, that we can have a versatile material to make anybody laugh, where if I was on national television during primetime hours, I'm not going to be cursing or using kind of that other, rated R stories. So it usually, if I'm going into a comedy club, I'm going to say it's 18 and over. But we can do family-friendly Divorce Diary shows, not a problem. But, yeah, overall it's for adults, so I'd go with an R.
Right, so you are a teacher. Have you ran into the problem where, well, not really like a problem, where you want to run into a coworker at one of your shows, or maybe, you know, the principal of your school?
Shows. My coworkers are very supportive. They've come to the shows. I don't do material that is that would put me in a position of, you know, looking down on my character as a teacher,
right,
or putting me in the risk of, you know, this is not looking good for you as a role of a teacher. I teach theater, so I, as an acting and dance teacher, it's part of my profession, obviously, to perform and craft. But yeah, I'm very careful with that. But I do also play two different hats, so you have to kind of juggle it in that manner.
Right.
And I do make it very distinct that the comics and their productions on the show, like, this is a family-friendly show. This is not. So, and they're very aware of that.
So now, what are the age ranges of the kids that you're teaching right now?
I teach K, but I've taught kindergarten, pre-K through like adult. The school district that I'm in right now in New Jersey, I teach kindergarten through 8th grade, basically. Theater. And then I have taught in the Trenton area of New Jersey. I taught high school for a couple of years when I first went into it. I went into teaching, ironically, and this is a Divorce Diary story and kind of how I transitioned back into performing semi-full-time right now, is that my ex-husband, I met him and we were going to get married, and I transitioned careers because I wanted to stay in one place and not travel. And I went into teaching. I went and got my master's in educational theater and NYU and all this stuff.
No kidding.
Because I was going to get married, yeah. A
lot of successful people have been at NYU in their theater program, so that's...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, this was there's a separate program. NYU has very unique, there's only a couple of them in the country. It's called Educational Theater Program, and it's kind of there to It's meant for a lot of artists or people in the industry who are, studying tech theater or are playwrights to kind of do this additional component of teaching theater or being, arts management, arts administration. And I had a blast doing it. And it did lead me to another love of my career, but it did also, being married kind of steered me into a different direction of my career.
Right.
But the divorce, I guess, kind of reared me back into where the universe is telling me I should be, which I believe is performing. And comedy has always been a part of my, repertoire as an actor. I used to do improv, and that is the other part of the stand-up Divorce Diaries. You can hear my daughters playing in the background. And the other part of Divorce Diaries is improv. So I studied improv with Upright Citizens Brigade in New York a long time ago, and I took the classes, and I paused on it because, again, met my ex-husband, and I wanted to, start a family, get married, and there wasn't enough time for everything. So I decided to make the show in a part where the diary element becomes the audience, too. Like, what would you say to your ex if they were standing in front of you? So the audience gets a chance before the show to write on these little slips of paper a line or two that they would say to their ex. Now, it could be good, it could be bad, it could be silly, whatever they want to say. And then myself and another comic on the show do an improv game with those lines.
I've seen a lot of Upright Citizens Brigade stuff, and that's they're the cream of the crop in terms of improv. So that's... Yeah,
they're amazing. I had a blast working with them. I'm bummed that I stopped, and when I was coming back into doing comedy, I was going to take class again with Upright, and it didn't work with my schedule, and they were all full, so I decided to take a class at Caroline's, a stand-up class. And what triggered it, ironically, was somebody I was dating, I broke up with. And I used to say to my friend, I was like, my friend who's in comedy in L.A. to stand up, I said, this guy has given me so much material. Like people laugh when I tell them, like, some of the lame excuses he would do, and I would go into his personality, and they're like, you should just stand up just because of this guy. And I did, and it kind of helped me also heal from the breakup. So again, that idea of Divorce Diaries is kind of healing through laughter and putting your focus and energy into making fun of the situation and finding what motivates you through that situation.
Right.
At Caroline's, I have a fabulous coach and now mentor, Linda Smith. She is amazing, and she teaches at Caroline. She was a writer, is a writer, and was a writer for the Rosie O'Donnell Show, the Carolyn Ray Show. She's huge. She's a phenomenal person that kind of has really helped me with Divorce Diaries to get it at the place that it's been at.
So what advice would you give to somebody that's trying to get into stand-up and trying to get in the improv and theater and all that stuff? And
the advice I would give them is anything that they feel is roadblocking them from just getting out and going to an open mic or getting out to any kind of writing group or audition is to just do it, because that's been the best advice I've gotten. And when I sit back and make an excuse, because we can have tons of reasons not to do something, that gets in your way.
Right.
And it prolongs the process. And I think that if anyone that's afraid to kind of take the leap or they're just busy working, find a way, find someone in your life that you want to be around, and do what you want to do with them, because that will help motivate you. Personally, I wanted my ex-boyfriend to see me on stage busting on him. And it sounds really ridiculous, but I did. I busted on him. I got a lot of laughs, and it made me feel better. And it's silly, but it motivated me. So find something that they feel is holding them back, that's remove it, and find that person in their life that's helping them, and do it with them, or have them hold you accountable. Because I feel like so many times we just make excuses for not getting out there and doing it, whereas we just need to do it. There's a comic on the show with me. He's a good friend of mine, Gerald Benford, kind of is doing that a lot of times for me. He's like, oh, don't make excuses, just do it. And my partner, Doug Bass, is on it. He was on it. He's in L.A. He's the same thing. We got to just plug in and work with each other. And when you work with another person in your life that is committed to similar goals, it's kind of like a running partner. You help push each other.
Right.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Take whatever is blocking you from feeding your flame and just get out there and do it.
How about the nerves when you're on stage? Does that kind of get better with time, or do you still get the butterflies for every show?
Yeah. You got to just kind of push through it. I think taking a deep breath helps. Slowing down what you're about to say, deep breath, and just pushing through and keep doing it. The more practice you have, the better you'll get, the more comfortable you'll be. You
ever get any hecklers at your shows?
Yeah, definitely. I have, knock on wood, been myself not in any kind of bad situation, but I've witnessed it. And it is scary. I feel like you kind of just, I think what you have to do if something throws you off is you just remain calm.
Right.
Stick to what you're comfortable with and you're set, and keep going. I've seen comics feed into hecklers.
Right.
Because that's what they do, which is, I think, completely fine. I just don't think I'm quick enough on my feet yet to feed into it. So
right.
I'll probably acknowledge it and go on. But other than that, you just kind of roll with it.
I've seen comics, embrace hecklers and kind of volley back and forth as if they're playing tennis, and then have that one burner, 6 shot in their back pocket, and then that's kind of the best way to go about it I've seen. But thanks for coming out, or thanks for joining me today. I
can't wait to come out though next Thursday at Funny Bone Comedy Club. You guys can get tickets on Funny Bone's website. If they put October 18th Divorce Diaries, or they search Divorce Diaries, it's on there.
Okay.
The tickets are $12, and it's going to be a great show.
Now, you also have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yes. My Divorce Diaries show is the name of the YouTube channel, so check us out.
Okay. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in Capital Region. And
yes, I look forward to it as well.
I'll be at the show. Maybe I'll heckle you a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I got to keep you on your toes.
You do. And you can contribute to that improv part. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's Michele Traina. She's going to be at the Funny Bone next Thursday night. What time does the show start again?
Starts at 7:30.
All right, well, that's pretty much all we got. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
And that was Michele Traina. She's going to be at the Funny Bone this Thursday night. Show starts at 7:30. Get your tickets at funnybone.com.